Aston Villa, they make it with 2 wins out of 2, of course, winning against Young Boys in the opening round of matches. For Bayern Munich, their first defeat under Vincent Kompany. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Jurgen Klinsmann is with us. Jurgen, just as a game overall, thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely entertaining. I mean, obviously, it's only the second game in that Champions League first part. So it's nothing lost for Bayern Munich, but it's a surprising loss, I think. I mean, it was not the best of a game, but it was always kind of open. It could have ended up in a different result as well. Bayern had a couple of good chances. But I mean, this goal from John Duran was quite something. I think what you see is that Bayern, even if they are obviously they're unbeaten in the Bundesliga and they have a very good start, they had a tie on the weekend with Leverkusen, but they have still a couple of similar issues that they had already last season. Now, and you could see that especially in that goal that they conceded. You know, the positioning of both center backs, Kim and Upamecano. Upamecano looked like he was out of position in that moment, and obviously for Aston Villa, this is massive. This is a fantastic win. Yeah. It lifts them and lifts their mood, but yeah, I mean, Bayern Munich, they have a couple of things to discuss over the next few days.
It was a great atmosphere ahead of kick-off, and Villa kind of lived off that initially in the first half. Second half, it kind of drained away a little bit, and you thought, oh, maybe Bayern are going to nick something here, or it's going to be a draw, but then it's Duran coming on, making the difference.
Look, Bayern had the bulk of the possession. That was no surprise. As Jurgen said, lacking a bit of cutting edge and guile in the final third. Still looked vulnerable at the back, but the context here is really, you know, we sit and talk about coaches and managers, some doing great, some are under a lot of pressure, some hanging on to the job. The context here for me is the job that this guy's done.
Yeah.
You know, so long out of the Champions League and its current format and its previous format. Back in for the first time, winning in Switzerland, which is wasn't a big surprise. Young Boys are going to be one of the whipping boys. Yeah. But the job he's done getting them in the Champions League, the way that he's sort of built this squad, part of it is from the old guard and before, and some of it is the new. The way he's coached them, the way they play, and the fact that they can go into this competition. And look, if they were to play Bayern, 10 times, Bayern would probably beat them 7 or 8. But to be able to go in there, and that I'm talking about at the moment, but to be able to go into this competition and face one of the juggernauts of European football, even though they're not at the best, and be competitive is just a testament to what Unai Emery has been able to do. You know, when people say you can't do it unless you just spend. Yes, they've spent money. Of course they have spent some money. But they haven't absolutely blown the market apart. He's worked with what he's got, he's added to it, and I don't know how far they'll go in the competition. You know, they're not clearly they're not going to be anywhere near winning it. And when it all shakes out in this new format, we'll see. But I just have to tip my cap to a manager who has come in and shown that actually when you work on a training ground, sometimes you can see the fruits of the work that you're doing.
And what fruits they're bearing, Steve?
Oh, big time. And actually, in my opinion, it could have been easier this game, because I think Upamecano should have been sent off.
Right. But he got spun a couple of times, didn't he, Burley?
He did, aye. And in the first half, no question, Bayern were the team in control, but Unai Emery at half-time, as Craig says, got a hold of them. A few words in a few ears, and the second half really wasn't anybody's. Certainly wasn't. It wasn't Bayern's the way it was in the first half. But overall, the change in this team is this team can beat anybody on their day now. The set-up and the strength and the stability of the whole team is what impresses me. Yes, they've got Duran who can come on and score, and Ollie Watkins is a good goal scorer. But behind those two is just a solid unit that works together from the first minute to the last. There's no holes, there's no gaps. It is just organised, and it's just a little machine that just walks away for 90 minutes.
Jurgen, how impressive is it to what Unai Emery's done with Aston Villa, a team, of course, that was sitting 16th, struggling under Steven Gerrard when he took the reins? There wasn't great fanfare after his time at PSG and Arsenal, obviously super successful in Spain, and he seems to have brought that success now to Aston Villa, as Craig says, without spending lots and lots of money.
Yeah, I think this is very, very remarkable what he's done with this team, and with the spirit that they showed, especially today. As Stevie said rightfully, they were compact, they were organized, they were aggressive, not overly too aggressive, so they never in danger of losing maybe a player. But they stood their ground, and it was a fantastic team performance that they showed today. And obviously, if you have a super sub like like Duran today coming in, because I very much be a little fan from Ollie Watkins, and I saw him coming off, said, "Ooh, he's coming off now," because he gave himself a real good battle there with Upamecano. But then John Duran came on and had this moment of brilliance, really this moment of brilliance, and this is fantastic for Aston Villa, and that should lift their mood. It should give them a lot more confidence, to go far in this tournament. Obviously, we have only 2 games being played now, but you can give the manager a huge, huge compliment for what he has achieved until now.
Jurgen, what's it like to have a player that comes on, as John Duran has been at the super sub? Because I imagine as a player, you don't want to be labelled as a super sub. You want to be starting games. You want to have that chance right from the off. As a manager, how do you deal with that? Because obviously, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I think, John Duran, in the stage of his career that is right now, he's very young, he's 20 years old, and he's just breaking through now. I think it's a huge compliment coming off the bench and being effective and having a big smile on his face. And I'm sure that his manager is talking to him, explaining him his role, his growth also, how he looks at him for the next upcoming years and his development. So it depends a lot on which stage of your career you are right now to accept that, obviously. It feeds also his confidence. It shows him that, if I'm smart, if I'm really alert, if I'm doing what the manager has asked me to do, I can actually beat a team like Bayern Munich. So this will help him. It will help him to grow. Obviously, his teammates will keep him on the ground, and this is the path of a young upcoming striker that hopefully we see a lot more goals in the near future. But this is just wonderful to see.
Who was the ginger player that was played with you, Stevie? The super sub that would come on for
David Fairclough.
He was your archetypal super sub, wasn't he? But there's got to be a point as a player you're like, I want to play.
Well, Jurgen's talking about Duran at the stage of his career. He's young and he can accept that. David Fairclough was in his mid-20s, where he wanted to be, and at that stage of his career, he should be striving to play every game. So he actually initially hated it.
Right.
As time went on, though, and particularly after he left Liverpool, he actually began to figure out what a good thing it was, and how he was always going to be remembered. So from playing it and doing it and hating it, to now he understands how lucky he was to be able to do what he did.
Was there? No, I'm not. This is not a leading question, but was there 2 subs then or 1?
1.
I mean, you talk about sticking out like a sore thumb. At least when you're on the bench now, you can mingle in with quite a few others. And when you're the sub and you're on your own, I mean, it's got to be difficult, but. Jurgen's right. This is a young guy, still a bit raw, big, strong boy, powerful. Ollie Watkins is the man at the moment, but you can just keep doing what you're doing. But even though Shaq, the goalkeeper, was off,
what's Neuer up to?
But even though that was still.
It was fantastic.
Strangely quiet over that.
No. Well, no. As I said, in Neuer's partial defence, that's kind of always how he's played. He's played very high off the line. At times, you've seen him kind of intercept these through balls that really no other goalkeeper would be in a position.
He was one of the first, was he not?
Absolutely.
One of the first. We used to call him super keeper.
Absolutely, and even still plays a lot higher up. And as much as it's a goalkeeper mistake, John Duran still has an awful lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
The ball, he's looking at the through ball. He's kind of sensing where Upamecano is. But yet he realises that Manuel Neuer is well off his line and in no man's land. And I thought, again, goalkeeper mistake, but take nothing away from the finisher. Was absolutely fantastic.
If John Duran's got any sense, he'll be having a night out in Birmingham tonight.
In his kit.
What, another night out?
The kind of mentality that we used to sort of use after a big game.
Exactly.
Somebody had a good... But yeah, we saw those teams in the graphics in the Premier League that he's come off the bench and scored against.
Yes.
That's the bread and butter. But this is his biggest night by far. Coming off the bench, Champions League, huge night at Villa Park, great atmosphere against Bayern Munich, and scoring a goal at that, terrific for the young lad.
Jurgen, I'm intrigued. We talked about the chance in the first half where Gnabry was through. Harry Kane in the centre. Obviously, in the end, Gnabry went to shoot over the... As a striker, how did you deal with that situation back in the day? Are you talking to him at half-time? Are you shouting? How would you deal with that?
Well, I mean, the situation explained it, basically. The reaction of Harry when he was angry, he was screaming at him. And when you make a mistake like that, you know, instead of passing the ball in there, and he just needed to tap it into the back of the net, he decided to shoot. And he knew exactly in that moment already that he made a big mistake, Gnabry. But for me, what was really interesting in this game, you know, is the link up. When I watched a little bit closer the Bayern Munich front line there, there's a lack of connection with Harry at the moment, because Harry Kane barely got into the game. Maybe the last 10-15 minutes he was more into the game, and he forced it a bit more from his side as well. But it's not the same link up like he had with Thomas Müller or Goretzka in the previous season. And that will be interesting to see now, because the guy that runs the show obviously is Musiala. He came only in the second half. He's kind of the boss in the attacking part of the field. And then, you expect Gnabry and you expect Coman to feed Harry Kane, which did not happen at all. Then obviously Coman came off, Musiala came on. It changed a little tiny bit. But for me, it's interesting to see that so far in these couple of games, the link-up is not the same as it was definitely not with Thomas Müller, because they had a blind understanding there last year. And Goretzka as well. Goretzka, an attacking midfielder, is always in the box, but always has an eye for the number 9. So it will be interesting to see now the next couple of games for Bayern Munich how they link up there.
That's both Leverkusen and Villa, both well-organised sides, have sat a bit deeper against Bayern Munich. They had plenty of possession in both those games, but struggled to create a lot of clear chances. Yeah, the Gnabry one was just poor decision-making. There was one or two others, don't get me wrong, but they really had a lot of possession in those two games, in particular against two well-organised sides, but lacked a little bit of guile. After starting the season scoring a bundle of goals, finally come up against a couple of really, really well-organised sides and had a different headache and struggled to break it down. Yeah,
how easy is that going to be for something Vincent Kompany to fix, Jurgen, because he's in charge of Bayern Munich, all eyes on him, obviously. Great when things are going well, you know more than others how the eyes are on you even more when things are going badly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the critical time for a manager, and that's, I'm sure that he will enjoy as well. You know, when things maybe don't go so well and you lose a game or two, then there's always more tension to the whole thing, and this is something he will go through. I mean, he's done well so far. The team looks in the Bundesliga absolutely sharp and good. I mean, the game on the weekend with Leverkusen was completely dominated by Bayern Munich. They should have won that one. This is going to be interesting to see. But those are the up and downs he will go through as a manager, no matter where he is the manager.
Well, they signed Paulinho for that.
Yeah, of course.
And he hasn't.
And they played him.
He hasn't played. He came off the bench, but they were chasing Paulinho last season. It didn't happen for whatever reason. Got him in the summer, and he hasn't really played. I mean, at the weekend it was Pavlovic in there, scored a great goal. But yeah, that's maybe I don't know if he's got a different way of thinking, Vincent Kompany, than what Thomas Tuchel had. Because clearly, if Thomas Tuchel had got Paulinho, he would have played him.
Well, he should have done. He's moaning on about it, you know.
He was unfortunately he was gone by then. So, yeah, I mean, those two at the back are still, particularly Upamecano, I think. Yeah. It still looks as if he's making some...
I just feel there's a mistake every game in there,
just
isn't it?
As if he's going to be still making some bad decisions that's going to get him and put him in a corner. I mean, Stevie's right. That one early on when Watkins has sort of rolled him, it was 50-50. It was a coming together and entangling of legs, but Watkins' goal side. The fact that they sort of brushed it aside when he was clear through on goal was a little strange, but both Kim and Upamecano were a big problem for Thomas Tuchel last season. And if he doesn't get any protection or better protection for them when they play better sides, particularly like Leverkusen and Villa and Villa very dangerous on the counter. That weakness that was there last year could be exposed again this season.
Is it win the title or bust? It's got to be, hasn't it, Jurgen? You're in charge of Bayern Munich. If you don't win it, you're gone.
Oh, the Bundesliga title is a must, absolutely must. I mean, the probability you can stay in charge not winning the Bundesliga is very small, unless you win the Champions League. But no, the expectations in Munich, they are the highest, like Real Madrid or like Manchester City. It's expected that you win your domestic championship and that you go far in the Champions League, possibly also winning the cup competition, the FA Cup or respectively the German Cup. Those are expectations, and Vincent Kompany knows that. That's not a problem for him. But what is interesting to see is that they got caught today by some of those big topics that we discussed last season that until now they are not solved.